Welcome back to St James's Pod. I'm here with Tom and Alex. I'm your host, Sam. We're looking ahead to the Nottingham Forest game as Newcastle United head down to Nottingham for the Friday night kick-off. Before all that, though, give us a subscription or a follow on your podcast platform. And while you're doing that, here's a quick word from this week's sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Sword Tiling, lead tiling specialists in the North East, covering all aspects including commercial and domestic. They've got you covered. So head to sword_tiling on Instagram and tell them St James's Pod sent you. So lads, nice to see you. How you doing?
Hi, Connie.
3 points in the bag.
In a while.
Yeah, first time we can see that for a while, which is good news.
Much needed. Much needed.
Just at the right time, isn't it? Really.
Oh yeah,
with
definitely.
How the sort of top 4, top 6 were shaping out. Like we needed 3 points. Like a home tie against a bottom half team. Thankfully, we got Miggy came and got all 3 points in the end.
Yeah,
Saved the day.
Miggy's back.
And
Before we kind of review the Wolves game, we're just going to give a shout out. Tom, I know you wanted to give a special mention to Ben Noble. He was shouted out by Callum Wilson on the Footballers Football podcast this week, available on the BBC. What was it again? Strikers Union or something?
Strikers Union, although like they mentioned, he's not necessarily a striker, but scored a worldie from midfield from like 30 yards out. But yeah, just thought
with Hasler Rig.
Hasler Rig, yeah. You could tell they're all Southerners on that podcast because they have absolutely no clue how to pronounce any of our local places.
You think Wilson had been living here long enough to know what Hezzy is, but
he must have drove past it a few times.
Not sure somewhere you'll have visited, to be honest.
You sure? You might have seen it on a sign somewhere.
He's down Hezzy Chippy all the time.
He loves Dylan's, man. Little shout out to Dylan's. They are.
This week's episode is sponsored. So obviously Ben's. If you listen to the podcast regular, we obviously had that bit of a knob from the Athletic on a few weeks back. That's Ben's brother. So if you want to see the goal, we'll drop it on the socials at St James's Pod. But yeah, let's talk about Nottingham Forest then. So quite interesting this one because there's rumours they've got 11 players potentially missing out on the game. And as we know, like they signed, I don't know actually how many, but they signed a lot of players.
It was over 20.
It was over 20, and brand new squad.
Completely new squad. So they've obviously got a lot of players to choose from. But one player who's going to miss the game, whether he's injured or not, is Chris Wood due to the fact he's still technically on loan. So are you happy about that, or would you rather Chris Wood had started?
Well, he looks like he's quite taken to playing for Forest, and since he's moved there, like I think he scored at least one. I know he's may have got a couple more than that, but I think he's been a big sort of change in the way that they sort of go about things. Like he seems to link up the play quite nicely. Obviously, they've got quite a decent array of options like out wide, and they play similar sort of system in that they have the one striker like we do and have the 2 wide players. Brennan Johnson's like quite a talent in one of those roles, but yeah, I think he's changed things for the better for them. So in a way, yeah, we're probably quite lucky that he isn't available, because he could be one of them players who would like old Toon players down the years who've come back to bite us on the arse. So yeah, quite quite thankful in the way he's not playing against us.
Yeah, that was more my thought. Is like it's just written that he'd come back and score into it, because I think there was a little bit of confusion in the fan base because his move's been made permanent, but that's been activated at the end of the season, I believe. And we've been at this podcast before where we've, I've been quite confident in the information I'm spreading, but it hasn't turned out 100% correct. But no, I believe he's technically still on loan until the end of the season, where it's going to be made permanent. But another player, obviously, that we know well, John Joe Shelby. Do you expect him to start?
I think so. I think he started almost every game since he's got fit.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll have another ex-Toon player, Jack Callback, alongside him, because I wouldn't mind him facing him up in the centre of the park, to be honest, or at fullback where he has been playing for Forest a little bit. But I heard a Tottenham fan speaking after their game last weekend, saying they're the worst side that he's seen at White Hart Lane this season. He said they were shocking. He said it looks like Shelby's just itching to play a 60-yard ball like every time he gets the ball, and it's just like, obviously we know like sometimes it's a bit unnecessary, but Brennan Johnson is obviously a great young talent, but in general I'm not too scared of them come Friday. I think we'll have enough, and yeah, I think Shelby will start. So hopefully, as you said with Wood, that doesn't come back to bite when you could. I wouldn't celebrate or anything, but you could just imagine him pinging one top in, which he hasn't done for us for years.
Yeah. I think with Shelby, I'm a bit worried of like a dirty tackle or something, which I don't think he'd kind of do intentionally, but it's just one of them where it's like you could just see it happening that he injures Bruno or something.
Well, obviously, like he's still like friendly with all the squad and that. Like he was down in London for the final. Like he still came seeing the lads like after he'd got the transfer. So I think he left on quite good terms. Obviously, he came out at half time, and I think it was the Everton game to get a round of applause when he left. So I'd like to think that he's like, obviously we know that he's had his red cards in the past and stuff like that, but I'd like to think he wouldn't intentionally go out to do someone.
No, I don't think it would be intentional.
No, and to be honest, I think he'll get a pretty decent reception from the away fans. Like there'll be some banter flying about, but like I think all the Toon fans who were there to send him off before he left obviously showed him a lot of respect, and I would imagine our away following will do likewise. But you know, we'll be obviously trying to put him off and stuff like, and obviously hoping he doesn't have his best game. But yeah, I don't imagine he'll be looking to cause too much trouble like in that side of his game. But he obviously is a threat from set pieces, and if you know, we don't want to be giving him anything from like 20-25 yards out on a free kick, because he'd probably be one of the first ones up there ready to take one. So yeah, that's what I would be cautious of.
Yeah, I think he might have kind of like in his head that he wants to prove a point. And I think as well, like I was going to ask you this: do you think if he was still at Newcastle, he'd be playing in this game for us? Because with Joe Linton still suspended.
I think he probably would, because, well, allegedly Longstaff hasn't been seen in training this week. So once again, we're down to bare bones in centre midfield. So I think out of just like the number standpoint, I think he would probably be coming in if he was fit, and obviously like it's not like he was like shut out under Howe. It's just he hasn't been fit all season really. So I think if Longstaff isn't 100%, I think he obviously would have started. But otherwise, when he does play that sort of I know when people analyse him, they call it like a quarterback role or something like that, where he like sits in front of the back four, because he's not quite a number 6, like, because he's not a defensive mid, but he's just sitting in front of the back four, and he likes to collect the ball, spray it around, so that then would give Bruno a bit more freedom to be a bit further up the field himself. So yeah, I still think we did get a decent fee for him, so that's obviously why he left, but it still has left us short, and it's going to be the same for the rest of the season. We're still going to be short until we get more bodies in the summer.
Yeah, it throws up the question whether or not, like you say, if Longstaff's going to be out, and obviously Joe Linton suspended, like if we're going to maybe see like Elliot Anderson maybe, but like having to be deployed in like a centre midfield role, because otherwise I can't think of too many other options other than having to change the system. But yeah, it could throw up that possibility for someone like Anderson, who's been on the fringes, to kind of step in, but it would be a bit of an ask at the same time for him as well.
Yeah, well, let's head back to the Wolves game then, because obviously there was quite a change up in the starting lineup for that one. I think it was something like 5 changes, which after such a consistent team throughout the season was quite a mix-up. But he started with Willock came back in midfield. Obviously, we're talking about Longstaff might not be available for this one, but it was Longstaff, Bruno, and Willock, and then we had Cher come back in. That was going to be slightly debated after the Sales had a good game against City. Maxi started, and your boy Murphy started, and Isaac came in for Wilson. So there's quite a bit to talk about in there. I don't know where you want to start.
Oh, you've got to start with Murphy. Go on.
I was about to say, because you got to be singing these praises.
You're about to pretend you didn't want to start with it.
No. I'm desperate to rave about him. Yeah, he did. Look, I think we've talked about him all season long. We know he's had his ups and downs like throughout the season, but when he's given that license to just be direct, and there's been flashes of it in other games. There was flashes of it in the cup final when he came on and just kind of went direct at the United defence, and he did so like throughout that game against Wolves. He was just wanting to get by his full back. Like, it's obviously great to have a right-footed player on the right hand side to whip crosses in, and yeah, he was just like always seemed a threat. I know we joke about him having like I say he's got a load of pace about him when some people don't think that, but I think when he is there running with the ball at feet and like having defenders backpedaling it is a good option to have, and I just thought it was one of his best games of the season. He was really a real threat.
Not just the season, but one of his best games in a Toon trade.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't had that many like performances where you can really like say he's had a fantastic game. And Eddie Howe was talking him up today as well, saying that he's been like working on everything in training. He's really meticulous. Like, he invests a lot of time into just trying to make himself better, and you can tell because he's significantly better than where he was under Steve Bruce. And he's been rewarded with a start, which he's well deserved after, especially that Man City little cameo where he flashed a couple across the box and looked really dangerous, to be honest. So fair play to him. Like, I think he could keep his place. But then again, Miggy comes on and scores after who replaced him. So
that's the beauty of it, though, because you've got like the defenders like thinking before the game that they might be coming up against Miggy, and so they'll have to like work on not letting him cut inside onto his left. But then obviously Murphy starts, and then they're like, all right, okay, so now we've got to like change up our game and not like show him down the channel to allow those crosses to come in and so it's keeping like opposition guessing as to how we're gonna approach things like down that side, because I think we were becoming a bit too predictable with like
It's exactly what me and Pete said at the match.
The Trippier Almiron connection.
Oh.
Yeah, but now Trippier and Murphy's different combo, all just going to be constantly, looking to whip those crosses in, not necessarily come inside to get shots off. So yeah, it throws up that like conundrum for defenders, and then obviously Mickey coming on later in the game, the full-backs then just absolutely, their head's going to be boxed in. They're not going to like, they've been so used to trying to deal with Murphy, and then Mickey comes on and completely changes up the style of attack. And so yeah, I like the potential there of just mixing up.
Yeah, one thing I did think is though, like Murphy got moved to the left later on, and he didn't seem nearly as effective. So I think if he's going to play, it needs to be on that right-hand side.
Yeah, he's like a traditional winger, isn't he? Get to the byline, get crosses in. He's not like an inverted one, sort of like you see with Miggy and Saint-Maximin on the opposite wings to the strongest foot. Touching on that, I think Saint-Maximin he looked a lot different against Wolves. He wasn't trying to take people on as much. He's passing it a lot more. He's not always making the right decision in the final third, but you can tell that he's really trying to sort of make the easy pass. Pretty much, he's passing it a lot like back along the box and stuff like that. He's not just trying to take people on all the time.
He's got his head up a bit more.
Yeah.
No, which is great. But one thing I noted is that he was kind of looking for the overlap, and obviously we've talked about Dan Burn not being as mobile to like get up the field, but like there were a couple of times where I was just like we had Target playing, and the overlap Target would have been further up with play, and like we could have maybe got in behind a little bit quicker and caught Wolves out a little bit sooner, rather than Maxi had to hold the ball a little bit longer. And then Burn finally got there, and then he flashed across in, but it was cleared away. There was a couple of times in the game where that happened. So I know, again, we've talked about Burn and like whether or not long term he can continue to be left back, but I do think if we're going to play that way and Max is going to continue on that left, then I do want to see him like paired up with Target again. And just see how that partnership can rekindle what it started, which looked pretty good at times last season and start of this season.
Yeah, there was that time Burn got up and he like burst into the box, almost lost it, and like as he dived to get the ball, went through on Nevers.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't
at him for going down.
It wasn't like a naughty challenge as such, because it was there to be won, but like he put his full like weight into trying to get that ball, and it didn't look particularly great. It was a bit clumsy, but the typical Burn though, like he's just throws himself into everything.
Yeah. See, I really like Burn, mate, but I know what you're saying with Target. Like, I think when Target first kind of got dropped out of the team, I was really missing him. But now it does feel like it's going to be hard for him to get back in, because it is like going forward where we obviously miss him. But I just think Burns, like, he's not really doing anything to get dropped. So it's going to be interesting to see whether he does mix things up. Because Howard's kind of said recently that he picks the team he thinks will best beat the other team. He doesn't really have loyalty. That's what he said. But whether
I see with Burn, like, we obviously said like Adama Traore could like cause him problems. He got taken off at half time because he was that ineffective. I think they put one ball in behind when Burn was further up the field, and there was no one there, and he ended up getting back and covering. but Adama Traore, like, he done absolutely nothing that half, and he forced the change at half time. So it just shows how solid Burn was defending that. They had to just change it up like there and then.
How annoying do you think it is as a defender when your winger's covered in baby oil?
I think it's such a minimal like gain that the attacker's trying to get. I know I've read some articles saying like him and the coaching staff have like thought that they got onto some winning thing by putting them in baby oil before each game, like, but I doubt it makes that much of a difference, like, to be honest, like, but other than like makes them super shiny on telly, but other than that, yeah, it's nothing.
Interesting.
Didn't do anything.
Yeah. Let's stick with the defence then, because we're going to talk about that back pass from Botman to Pope. I personally think we got away with one there. Like,
yeah, I think we did. Honestly, I'm getting a bit nervous with Pope, like with the ball at feet. Ever since obviously the Liverpool game, and he just doesn't look comfortable like that often, like when he's been put under pressure. And yeah, it was a hospital pass from Botman. I didn't think it was necessary, but still, Pope made a right hash of it.
Still a horrible touch on it.
It was a horrible touch, like, and yeah, he's definitely impeded Jimenez, and I think if you Wolves, I mean, it wouldn't have been a red card, I don't think, but it should have been a penalty, because he wasn't, because of where it happened in the box, it was like too far wide for it to be a clear scoring opportunity, so I don't think they'd have red carded him. But
I don't know, like,
I think he was off. I think if the pen got given, I think he was off. There was no one.
What happened?
There's no
What happened to the double jeopardy thing, though? Like, I thought that there was that.
If you make a clear like intention to get the ball, it's when the double jeopardy comes in. Pope obviously didn't make an intentional move to get the ball. He tried to
he body checked him.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was a foul
in the build-up though. Like at the other end.
Yeah, he
would that have maybe came into their sort of thinking? It definitely came into the referees' thinking, because Dambin got fouled, and then the whole crowd was up. Like the whole crowd was like obviously like shouting for the free kick. It was a pen. I can't even remember. And then obviously the ball goes up the other end, and the crowd's still going. So when that happened, I think the referee still got it in his mind, like, that could have been a foul. I'm going to let this one go as well. I genuinely think that would have came into his mind a little bit, because the ref was still probably just over the halfway line, I think, when the incident actually happened. Like,
well, VAR on the TV didn't really spend like a great deal of time considering it, which I was quite shocked with. I thought there was going to be a fair stoppage and potentially the ref having to go over, have a look at it on the monitor just to like clear things up, but it didn't. That didn't transpire, that was the biggest shock to me, because I was just like, yeah, in my mind I was already there thinking, yeah, penalty, and hoping that Pope would not get another red card. But yeah, we definitely got away with it. I think if that happened to us, I'd been up in arms.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah. So I've seen a lot of people, obviously mainly Toon fans, saying like Jimenez was looking for it and he kind of jumps into Pope and he could have stayed up and stuff like that. So what I think happened is the ref's that far away, he doesn't make the decision. He just like thinks to himself, I don't know 100% if that was a pen or not, so I'm not going to say it is a pen. And then because the VAR rule is it has to be clear and obvious error, it's like it can be debated whether it is a pen or not. So they can't overturn his decision. So I think in cases like that, the fact that VAR is clear and obvious error does kind of hinder it a little bit, because really the ref should be able to say, like, I couldn't see that. To let me know, like, what happened. Or
This
can
is
I have a
another
look at the
reason
screen? Or...
why, like, we should be able to hear what the refs are saying. We want to know, like, why he's not making that decision, or like if he's talking in the VAR room saying, like, oh, like, obviously I'm like 40 yards from the incident. I don't think it's a pen, but could you have a look at it and send us over the monitor maybe to have a second look if you think that, like, I might be wrong. And then if he goes over to the monitor, and then if he still thinks Jimenez is trying it on, then he can obviously go with his on-field decision.
And that's what they do in rugby. When they go upstairs in rugby, you can, and obviously you're hearing it, like, you hear them talking about, like, you know, I didn't see that. Can you just, like, run that back and just tell me, did he get a touch to the ball, or did he get it grounded? Whatever it is that they're talking about, like, you can hear them talk through the steps, and it's very methodical in the way that the referees talk. Like, they go through the motion of, like, so this stage happened, and then that stage, and like, at least if, you know, the refs, you know, talk to each other like that to VAR and just, like, go through it that way, it, you know, it would make the understanding for the fans, like, and players, managers, whatever, like, just clear up so many of those grey areas. But yeah, I doubt we're ever going to get anywhere close to being able to hear the refs' audio, because of the amount of abuse that gets shouted at the refs, like, by players. Like, the FA just don't.
Well, I was going to say, that's the difference between rugby and football, isn't it?
This should, like, the thing is, the standard of refereeing from rugby to football is night and day, even though the amount of money in the Premier League is astronomical. Like, surely, like, they could learn a lot from just looking at rugby league, looking how the refs get treated, looking at you don't see decisions being talked about all the time in rugby on the TV. It doesn't happen because the standard of refereeing is so good that they make these decisions correct. Like, why are UEFA, like FIFA, the Premier League, not looking at rugby and taking a leaf out of their book, trying to learn something from them to try and improve our game? Because they have shit shows every fucking week. They have, like, major decisions wrong every week. And it's meant to be the biggest league in the world. It's a joke.
Yeah, no, it's not getting any better, is it? Like,
no.
Even VAR's been, like, in effect now for, this is its, like, full second season or third season. I can't quite remember, but, like, it's still not ironed out completely all of these, like, you know, decisions which it said it would do. Like, it's just made it worse in some respects. And yeah, I don't know, going off on a tangent, but yeah, I think it's definitely not, like, yeah, if I was a Wolves fan, that decision, like, the thing is, like, we've seen decisions like that. Yeah, like, I've seen Toon fans, like, say, oh, well, it's karma for the one a few years back when Edison wiped out Fraser. Like, and
I thought you were going to say the Longstaff one against Wolves.
Or even that, earlier in the season, like, it's karma and all that. And, like, yeah, I know that's a cliche that, you know, these decisions kind of come round,
balance themselves out,
but still, like, that's not how. If it's a foul, it's a foul. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, yeah, you got away with one game, you get away with one another game. Like, nah, it's just, yeah, needs to be cleared up. But yeah, in terms of, like, it would have changed the complexion of the game, I think, as well, had that happened. And obviously Pope getting red carded, it would have been, could have been another bloody Liverpool situation.
Yeah, I think we'd be sat here right now in, like, such a worse place had that gone down as a... Well, obviously they've got to score the pen, but with Pope being sent off, if he'd been without Pope for the rest of that game, plus, what would it have been? Well, it would have just been a one-game ban, right? Because the other one was in the cup.
See, I'm guessing it'll be one extra because Casemiro's just got his second red card of the season for like violent conduct, and that's a 4-game ban now. So I'm guessing for every extra red card, I don't know this, I'm just guessing. So I'm guessing it'll be an extra game, maybe. Because was Pope banned for just the 1 game, was it?
Yeah, it was just the one. Yeah,
It's just the final one.
So I'm guessing it would be two games.
You got that in the league and then missed the final, so I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it probably would have been a 2 game. And well informed as usual, St James'pod.
It's quite a nuanced bit of ruling, like
delayed. Don't know. What about Shaw coming back in? Were you surprised by that, or did you think that was always going to be the case because he's done obviously so well this season, and with Lascelles playing one decent game, doesn't mean he keeps his spot?
I think it comes down to like the partnership as a whole with Botman and Cher is just like it seems to come on like all throughout the season. They seem to just know like each of his games. Like there's obviously the nice balance between the two, and in that it's we can open up more passing lanes with the ability of both centre halves with the ball at feet, which we know Lascelles has got. Doesn't have that in his locker. So I think Cher has become a like guaranteed first teamer, like for me, alongside Botman.
Coming back in, I thought he'd had a couple of slightly off games beforehand. But was back to his best against Wolves. And then when you pick up on Isa, obviously he comes in, Wilson, like you were just saying before as well, Wilson's now not been named in the England squad due to his form. And he looks like he's lost his place in the starting 11 for the Toon as well.
Yeah. Again, right call. I think we've been calling for it for a few weeks now. Like you say, Howe says he doesn't pick on loyalty. Like the fans can't sort of back Wilson for loyalty reasons either, despite all the good stuff he's done previous seasons. Like he's clearly going through a bit of a spell of bad form, and I think Isak's been patient all season. Like had to sit on the bench a few times when he could have been there for the starting 11. But yeah, he took his chance brilliantly, and yeah, it was a great header. Like I was saying in the chat with you guys, like it was proper Shearer-esque in the way that he took it. Like just got the power on it. Like it was great movement. Showed like a bit of like knack as well with like just giving himself a yard, pushing off the defender, just to give him that space. Like he just did everything right for the goal. And yeah, like he's he can't. I don't think you can drop him now.
It was surprising actually that goal, because he statistically and like historically he's not been great with his head. I don't think he's got many headed goals in his career, so you'd expect him. Like one of the main things we were saying was like Wilson's the more physical. He's got that more of a number 9 about him, whereas Isak's more like a forward and he's better with the ball at feet and stuff like that. But it was a proper like number 9 goal. So hopefully he's yeah,
like off the ball and on the ball, like he was chasing down like all game. Obviously, like Howard mentioned that he didn't say it like specifically that he couldn't make 90 minutes, but he sort of hinted towards it. And probably 5-10 minutes before he came off the pitch, you could tell he'd ran himself into the ground.
Yeah.
So like Wilson was needed to come on, but he just looks so bright on the ball. Like he's just positive. Like runs at a man. He works the channels. He's not very predictable in what he does. I thought he had a class game, and obviously a class goal. and we've been saying for a while about Trippier's deliveries as well. I mean, to be fair, they were still poor against Wolves. We had a lot of corners hitting the first man. It's so frustrating, but to see that ball get put in the corner was nice to see after all these balls he whipped in every game. So yeah,
there was that one and another one I remember, like both from free kicks though, were absolute peaches. But yeah,
well, Bruno hit the ball in the first half as well. So that was the corner that Dan Burn knocked back over from the back post, and then Bruno headed it on the ball. Yeah, in the first half when it was 0-0, I think.
That was right at him. Like it looked. I don't know. Maybe
like instinctive.
It was it'd be a bit harsh to say like he missed like a sitter, but it was like kind of came at him quite quickly, but adjusted himself fairly well, and yeah, it was unfortunate, but no, it was. You're right though, Trippier. It's a numbers game, isn't it? With him, like he will just put as many crosses in and like just hope that like at least 1 in 10 is a good one. Like, but you hope that that ratio gets a bit better and like we actually start connecting a little bit more with those crosses, because it is frustrating when they just fizzle out to nothing.
Yeah, like Trippier in general. What did you think of his game? Because obviously he was, well, do you think he was at fault for their goal, or do you think Pope was at fault? It's hard to know without knowing who shouted.
It was, well, yeah, it's obviously messy, like, and the slip from Trippier is unfortunate. Like, yeah, I can't quite say whether or not you can fully put it on Trippier. I know the Sky commentary were kind of putting it on him, which I think was a bit harsh. Like, and that he redeemed himself
if
some more.
Pope's called though, if Pope has called, then that is Trippier's fault. So he shouldn't be clearing it.
So from inside the ground, it looked like Pope was trying to claim it. Yeah. And if he was trying to claim it, he would have given him a shout. However, the ball's in your 6-yard box. Like, it's pretty frantic. There's a lot of bodies around. Like, you can't really blame Trippier for just wanting to try and get rid. Like, it was absolutely pissing down at the time, which is obviously why he slipped. So, I don't think it's fair to put the blame on one or the other, because it's just one of those things which is just like an absolute freak accident. Thankfully, we got the goal to give with 3 points, because that would have been a stinking way to drop 2 points. But yeah, I think Pope should have. Well, yeah, Pope did want to claim it, and he would have claimed it if Trippier didn't intervene. But it's hard to have a go at him for slipping. Like, it's not like he took too many touches and got tackled or something daft like that. So yeah, I think you've just got to put it.
It happened so quick, didn't it? And they had I can't remember which Wolves player it was who was like going to challenge with Pope and Trippier. It might be Neto at that point, but yeah, there was obviously a Wolves player very close, and then obviously the ball ends up coming back over to the 6-yard box where like Hwang is just unmarked, like easiest finish he could have. Like it was very fortunate, because I think Wolves could have played another 90 minutes and not scored. Like, they were that like ineffective in that game. So they were very fortunate to get a goal, in my opinion. Just on the way that they were playing. But yeah, obviously, luckily we go up the other end, and Miggy does what he does best.
Get deflected goal.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, it was like
that was just great team goal as well. I wanted like
Joe Willock, Marlon
Aquino.
Aye, perfect little pass.
Yeah. Hopefully, if Miggy does get a start, we'll see more of that kind of integrate triangles again. Because I think it's not been working as well, has it? decent. It was a good corner as well, wasn't it? Like towards the end where they played it around and Botman.
Yeah, it was the fake time wasting routine.
That was good.
Yeah. Botman definitely showing he's a centre half, like, but then, he should have been scoring. Like, would have been nice for him to get his first goal for the Toon that way, but yeah, he has. That one, obviously, the best one.
I've kept him in me like fantasy team for so long, just because I'm like, he's got to score, and then I've took him out, so he's got to score next week.
It's going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll put him down for
tomorrow night.
He's got to bag it.
So let's talk about what team we think he'll start for Forest. Then, do you think it'll be a case of unchanged because we won, or do you think the likes of Miggy who've come on and obviously won the game? Do you think he gets it? Because he did kind of allude to the fact that he didn't get dropped; he was just rested.
That's the thing. We've only got the league to focus on now. We're playing one game a week pretty much for the rest of the season. Like, he doesn't really need
national break after this one as well.
Yeah, he doesn't really need to be like resting players per se. So I think it probably was a bit of a tactical change, and the fact that Murphy had looked really sharp in the games that he had came on. I think if every player was fit, I think you'd keep the same lineup. But yeah, we've heard obviously rumblings about like maybe Wilson not being in training photos, Longstaff not being in training photos. So I don't know if that will affect it a little bit. If Longstaff is fit, it'll be the same starting 11. I think Miggy's the only one who I think might come in for Murphy, but once again, Murphy had a solid game, and Miggy made a great impact off the bench. So why change a winning formula?
And Joe Linton's obviously still suspended. Did you all see the backroom video where Richie comes in?
No, it's quality. Like, and like Bruno, like proper screaming at him, like giving him a big hug. Like it's just quality. Like you can just sense like the camaraderie between everybody. Like even the players who are not playing on the day, like bar Ryan Fraser. But otherwise, like everybody's like proper like chuffed for everybody else who's been involved, and like it's class to see. And obviously we got the photo back again at the end of the game, the dressing room photo. So long may that continue.
Gentle, sort of mellow Joe Linton seems when he's not on the pitch. Obviously he's like absolute like anger management levels when he's on the pitch, but just seems like well chill. That like
big friendly giant.
He's like just hand in the pocket the whole time, just high fives.
He's always smiling.
Aye, it's good. It's good to see.
So Anthony Gordon's still out by looks of things. He won't be in contention to play. I think I'd agree with the fact that it'll be the same starting 11 as long as Longstaff's fit. But what do you think we do if he's not fit? Do you think Anderson just comes in? Or because if Anderson does come in, he'll be on the left side, which will mean putting Willett to the right side.
I honestly cannot see any other and Eddie won't want to have to change the system for the fact that there's only one player missing if this happens. So, then we are looking at trying to put square pegs in round holes in some degree, because Anderson, although he has I think he has played sort of in a centre midfield role off the bench in some games this season. He's not. I don't think he's naturally that sort of player. I think he would rather be one of the wide players, playing maybe off the left side, where Maxi would be. So, yeah, I think you're right. He would probably play on that left side of the midfield three. Whether or not like he'd look comfortable there from the off is another thing.
The only other thing I could think would be putting him on the left, like instead of Maxi, and then giving Maxi that free role, kind of in the 10-ish. But
obviously, we did play that formation when Gordon played in the number 10 for a little bit.
Yeah.
So that could be an option. Or
Willick
I guess we could
Bruno though.
Yeah, we could play sort of Murphy and Miggy on the wings with Maxi in the hole, I guess. So
Miggy is the 10 because he's played there for Atlanta still.
But yeah, as Paige said, like we're struggling just with fitting people in the wrong positions and changing things up too much from a game that we can't hold up. We need to get 3 points against teams like Nottingham Forest. So it's a tough one, like because the quality that comes in is rarely up to the standard of the start 11.
Well, the only other thing I could. He is, well, for now, because he's still young and learning and everything. But, like, yeah, the only other thing I could think, which I know previous managers did, was to push Cher into midfield and then have Lascelles fill in at the back. But I don't want us to have to resort to, like, even
Cher's not
having to do that.
Really
no,
not.
I know, but he has. We've seen him play there, haven't we? Like it's like a defensive, like midfield type. But he obviously sticks out like a sore thumb because he just doesn't like he shouldn't be there. So yeah, but you're right. I'm other than that, I'm really struggling to think like if Longstaff can't make it, then like what do we do? Like other than
I think.
Yeah.
Ryan Fraser would be like way more likely to get some minutes these last few games because you look at Richie coming on in the last game.
But unfortunately, the little fella's been dropped. But enough about Pete.
That's all. Get the jumbo back for you.
It's taken far too long for it to be Jip and Pete here. Like.
To be fair, did you listen to the last podcast, Tom?
What was? No, I missed like which bit you're talking about here.
No, that's all right.
No, nothing. We didn't say anything about you at all.
Oh, brilliant!
You know what happens when you miss one?
You get. Well, you never get slated, to be fair. So I'm gonna have to. Have to start slating you when you miss it.
Wait, it's not me. Maybe Peter's doing the slating.
Oh yeah, typical of the little lad.
Had to bleep some stuff out last week. But on Fraser, he probably would have come in. It's like you would imagine he'd start ahead of Richie if his attitude was better because he was playing under Howard last season, and then. Whether he'd be an option as like on one of the wings, maybe even in midfield. Because I was going to say, do you think Richie's got a chance of seeing minutes if we're out there?
Yeah, well, he's seen minutes recently already, so
I'm wondering whether he'd get deployed in midfield. Because didn't he come on against Sheffield Wednesday?
Yeah.
Or did he start?
I think he started, yeah. I think he was one of the ones who started who actually had an alright game.
Yeah, because he looked decent in the game, I remember him.
Yeah. But we're scraping the bottom of the barrel, like, yeah.
It's, again, like, we're talking about somebody who's a traditional, like, wide player or even, like, who's filled in as, like, a wing back, like, in recent seasons, having to play in a central midfield role. Like he's like tiny. He's just gonna get like out muscled in that. He's just gonna get out muscled by.
Can I kick a ball? He's got shit haircuts.
Yeah, like he would get completely overrun in that midfield by the Nottingham midfielders. Like if we did have to resort to that.
It's frustrating because, like we're saying with Shelby, like
yeah,
we're not seeing him really all season, and then as soon as he's fit, he's off.
He's playing for the opposition
and playing against it. So hopefully, I'm just really hoping Longstaff's fit. For me, Longstaff gets a lot of like unnecessary shit. I think he's been quality this season. So yeah, hopefully he's in there, and he's such an engine. I think if he's not there, I think we'll realise how much we miss him.
Oh, he's Mr. Dependable. Like he's one of them ones who I'd say like he's getting close to be like a guaranteed like 7 out of 10 every game. Like he's that consistent, or has been that consistent, especially in the turn of the year. Like I can't think of many bad games he's had.
No. Right, well, let's move on to predictions.
I'll start off. I'm going for a 2-0 win. So
Again?
No, well, I've seen that Brennan Johnson might not be fit. He did come off against Tottenham, but they're saying like it's sort of day to day. Like he might make the game, he might not. Being a Friday night game, could well not. Ioweni's not playing. Woods can't play. So who are they going to have up front? Like Emmanuel Dennis? Like is Gibbs White going to be like a false nine? Like they're really lacking firepower. So they really shouldn't be scoring against us, I'd like to think. I know we've conceded a few lately, but like we are the best defence in the league still. We've conceded the least amount, so Isak starts, Isak scores, and a comfortable 2-0 win.
I like it. Huge.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-1. 3-1 Toon.
Oof.
And yeah, I know what you're saying about the lack of firepower and stuff, like, but we gave like obviously a cheap goal away last time, and I'm not saying we'll give another cheap goal away this time. I just think not sure how it'll come about, but I do think we'll concede, but we'll I think have too much going forward for Forest. So yeah, we'll bag 3 and it'll be a fairly comfortable night, hopefully.
See, I was going to say 1-0, but just made me think we could roll them. No, I'll stick to 1-0. I think the defence will be going to be solid. I think we'll get back to solid ways, and then I just think we've not been that great in front of goal. So have to just say we'll get on. Probably ease up. However, we're going to Dubai, aren't we, in the international break for like a one with our training camp or whatever.
Yeah, and that seems to do good.
Yeah,
it did last season. Yeah. No,
we missed it with the World Cup. Well, a lot. Some of players missed it with the World Cup. So hopefully that can be, if we can get 3 points in this game, one with our training camp, and then push on for the end of the season. Because obviously, like, you look at the people who are kind of in and around the Champions League spots, the European spots, and the form's very inconsistent, really. Liverpool especially.
Oh yeah, those teams, but I think the ones that I'm like most concerned about, and they both won midweek, were Brentford and Brighton. Yeah, like they. I'm not sure fully how. I don't know how strong their run-ins are in terms of like the sort of teams they've got left to play. It's probably a similar sort of setup to our schedule, but yeah, I do think that there's reason to just keep an eye on over our shoulders. Like, and I think Brighton have played, I think, the same amount as we have, and Brentford have played a game more, have they? Yeah. So, yeah,
it's so tight.
It's
ridiculous.
It's very tight, like, and we don't want to then like be the one who out of those teams, and even Fulham then aren't that far behind, like on 39, like so. Yeah, we could easily go from like looking like being all right for Europa League, and then find ourselves completely out of the picture of like Europe entirely. So, yeah, there's just
Chelsea gets their act together,
and they have like
miles away.
In recent games, like they're looking a lot better to Chelsea, and obviously there's going to be pressure on Potter to make sure that they have some form of Europe with the investment that they've spent. So, yeah, but I don't know. There's plenty of teams that we got to be wary of, and that we cannot afford to. 11 draws, like that is. I mean, I know Brentford have also drawn the same amount, but like, yeah, that's such a high number. It sticks out like a sore thumb on that table when you look at it against the teams around us, like who
we did have less losses than City, though. So,
there's that, yeah, and we've still conceded the least, but yeah, it's just we got to start scoring more and making sure that we don't let these draws come back to bite us on the arse.
Yeah, like obviously hoping for 3 points in this one, and then it does just set us up brilliantly for like the last run of games at the end of the season. But obviously it's been an amazing season so far. So I think no matter what, it's still going to be so enjoyable for the rest of the season. But hopefully Friday night, I do have a soft spot for Forest just because living kind of down that way for a while before I moved out here. And with their history and stuff, like I do quite like seeing them in the Premier League, but I hope we stop them on Friday night. And it would be really nice to see like a few goals as well to kind of put that to bed before the break. But yeah, anything else before we sign off, boys?
Come on, you Maggies from Willoginho.
That's it. Awesome. Well, remember to follow the podcast, every time an episode's released. Subscribe if you're on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next one.